That was 0 to 10, but I did understand it though. Hey, I want to see what you're doing.
I gotta work on my sarcasm, man. I suck.
You basically just gave him the whole playbook. Besides Bitcoin and Ethereum, Minecraft reference. What are the other, or who are the other, I guess, major players in cryptocurrency?
I like the Minecraft reference, the Nether, that world. It's
I
cool
love
to hang out
Minecraft.
in. Yeah, Bitcoin and Ether. You have like this technology is open source, which basically just means you can clone a project and create something basically the same, but tweak just some minor differences so that it's slightly different, but still has a lot of the same properties.
So they're just like different iterations of the same thing?
Pretty much.
Okay.
So an example would be like Litecoin or Dogecoin. They are clones of Bitcoin with certain things that are just slightly changed. For instance, Dogecoin has much larger supply, similar thing with Litecoin. And also, when you go into like the utility blockchain category, like Ethereum, you have other competitors like Solana is one, Near Protocol is another that you could name. But essentially, all of these are competing for users and for that network effect. So one of the main competitors to Ethereum has been a cryptocurrency known as Solana. And one of the reasons why it was able to be such a hardcore competitor to Ethereum is because when independent artists were minting NFTs, at first it was cheap, but then it became a very expensive process on the Ethereum network due to gas fees. And in order to create one of these NFTs, you had to pay like $250 in gas fees. That was a problem with Ethereum that they're kind of working to improve. Solana already solved it. And when you mint an NFT on Solana, you don't have to pay those high gas fees because of technical components that were changed. It's a little bit newer tech, it's a little bit more flexible, but overall you have a lot of new projects that are competing to do things better than what Ethereum originally set out to do.
Cool. Copy that. And then I guess you explained how Monero is strictly private. So is Zcash kind of the same thing? Like they're both private. They're not. You said open source, right?
Yeah.
So they're not that. They're private. And do you think that's a good or bad thing to be private versus kind of?
There are pros and cons. Like obviously, I think there is probably a societal benefit in the future to having some form of digital cash. Where you can spend money or tip people and not have it being traced back to your identity. However, I don't invest in them a lot, aside from just like short-term trading, because I think they will come under regulatory risks. If you can imagine, the FBI has already said like we can't track Monero transactions very well. Like it's very difficult. That's where we see a lot of the like online crime gets like paid for in these privacy cryptocurrencies, because in 2021 you would never do that with Bitcoin because everything's transparent and can be tracked with blockchain analytics and things like that.
So like how in the movies where like what's it called, like White House Down or something, where the foreign or domestic terrorists pull up and then they get paid and then they get like it gets all tracked back at like the climax of the movie and they're like, oh yeah, it was you the whole time, and then they're like, yeah, and I got my money, but then they lose. So it's like that could happen, but then they couldn't get tracked now if they use Monero. So you basically just gave them the whole playbook basically.
Yeah.
Or I guess not, you didn't, but that's really just I really hate to see it. It's just movies though. We're off track. But I understand what you're saying in terms of like, I guess Monero is good for being like, I don't want my stuff to be aired out, but if people are up to no good, they could use that, and then the government, as of right now, can't really like be like, hey, I want to see what you're doing. Like they can't do that.
Yeah, and you can imagine certain instances like where that would be useful. Like for instance, if you were a citizen fleeing like a totalitarian regime or something, or you were like, in a particular country where you were being discriminated against or something like that, it makes sense to be able to preserve your wealth in something that can't really be messed with by the government.
Nice.